Hollywood dazzles with glitz and glamour, but behind the red carpets and camera flashes lie chilling stories of stars who took the pursuit of eternal youth too far. In this video, we're diving into some of the most jaw-dropping plastic surgery disasters in celebrity history, transformations so drastic, you might not even recognize the faces that once lit up the silver screen. From timeless beauty to tragic reinvention, these shocking tales serve as a powerful reminder: the price of perfection can sometimes be devastating. Michael Jackson's journey through plastic surgery is almost as iconic and haunting as his music. For baby boomers who grew up with the wide-eyed, afro-wearing prodigy of the Jackson 5, watching his face evolve over the years was both mesmerizing and deeply confusing. What began as a single operation after a broken nose in 1979 spiraled into a lifelong pursuit of transformation, one that became just as much a part of his legacy as Thriller or the Moonwalk. The first surgery was meant to correct his breathing, but according to insiders, Michael was left dissatisfied with the results. That disappointment opened a door he would never quite close. Some even say he urged his sister LaToya to try a similar procedure first, as if testing the waters for himself. By the mid-80s and into the 90s, the world watched as his features shifted dramatically. His nose grew thinner, his skin lighter, his cheekbones more pronounced. Experts estimate he may have undergone up to 100 cosmetic procedures, from rhinoplasties to cheek implants, eyelid lifts, and chin augmentations. Dr. Wallace Goodstein, who worked near Jackson's medical team, claimed the king of pop sometimes had multiple surgeries in a single session. But this wasn't just about vanity, it was about reinvention, about control, about escaping the image he was born into and building the one he felt he needed. Michael once said, "To reap and enjoy the fruits of my talents for myself would be selfish." That one sentence reveals the staggering weight he carried, not just to perform, but to be perfect in a world that watched his every move. Decades later, his music continues to move millions. But so does the conversation around his face, his pain, his choices, his legacy. Michael Jackson's transformation wasn't just physical, it was a deeply human response to the brutal glare of fame, the ache for self-acceptance, and the cost of becoming a global icon. Donatella Versace, a name that drips with high fashion, fearless glamour, and unapologetic reinvention. For decades, she's mesmerized the world not just with her runway masterpieces, but with a transformation that's as bold and dramatic as any collection she's ever unveiled. To those who remember the golden era of the 90s, when Gianni Versace ruled the fashion world, Donatella was the elegant, platinum-haired sister in the shadows, slowly stepping into the light. But her journey of self-creation didn't start on the catwalk. At just 11 years old, inspired by her legendary brother, she bleached her hair for the first time, a defiant act of self-definition. That moment marked the beginning of a lifelong obsession, not just with beauty, but with becoming her own kind of icon. Over time, her face became a canvas for evolution. Her once classic Italian features gave way to a sharper, more sculpted aesthetic. Plastic surgeons like Dr. Steve Follett have acknowledged the extensive work, Botox, fillers, laser treatments, but Donatella doesn't hide behind whispers or rumors. She confronts them head-on. In an interview with Love magazine, she famously dismissed the notion of natural beauty, comparing it to vegetables, necessary, maybe, but never exciting. To Donatella, beauty isn't about fitting in. It's about standing out. It's about crafting an identity so unmistakable, it becomes armor in an image-obsessed world. Her look may challenge traditional standards, but for her, that's the point. She isn't chasing perfection, she's redefining what power and femininity can look like. In a world where image is often dictated by others, Donatella Versace refuses to surrender the pen. She writes her own story, boldly, stylishly, and without apology. Joseline Wildenstein, better known to the world as Catwoman, has remained a lightning rod of fascination and debate in the realm of extreme beauty. Now in her 80s, she continues to command attention with her unmistakable look, razor-sharp cheekbones, almond-shaped eyes pulled tight, and a sculpted face that some say mirrors a glamorous feline more than a conventional beauty icon. While many believe her striking appearance is the result of countless plastic surgeries, Joseline fiercely denies it. According to her, the secret lies not in a surgeon's hands but in her Swiss heritage. Yes, the same Switzerland famous for flawless precision and luxury. She claims it's good genes, not good doctors, that gave her such smooth skin and defined features. Still, the whispers have never stopped. Over the decades, tabloids and beauty insiders have estimated that she spent millions in her pursuit of a look that has become both iconic and controversial, especially those signature cat-like eyes. Though Joseline has never confirmed the exact number of procedures, her ever-changing face has sparked a bigger conversation. Where does natural beauty end, and where does artifice begin? Yet, through it all, Joseline remains defiantly unapologetic. For her, beauty has never been about conformity. It's about self-expression, reinvention, and owning your image, no matter what the world thinks. Whether you see a woman shaped by genetics or one sculpted by surgery, one truth is undeniable. Joseline Wildenstein has never blended in. And in a world obsessed with youth and perfection, her story dares us to rethink how we define aging, and who gets to define beauty at all. Simon Cowell, the famously sharp-tongued judge behind the X Factor and America's Got Talent, has spent decades shaping the sound of pop culture. But recently, it wasn't his critiques that got people talking. It was his face. For many baby boomers who grew up seeing him as a consistent presence on primetime TV, his dramatically changed appearance came as a shock. In 2023, Cowell candidly admitted to experimenting with facial fillers and cosmetic procedures in an attempt to hang on to youth. But instead of a subtle refresh, the results were jarring, sparking comparisons to horror movie characters and fueling a wave of concern among fans and media alike. The moment that hit the hardest? His young son Eric's reaction. Seeing the unease in his son's eyes was the wake-up call Simon didn't expect, but desperately needed. That moment pushed him to make a real change. He began dissolving the fillers, turning instead to natural, non-invasive treatments. More importantly, he overhauled his lifestyle, embracing a cleaner diet, drinking more water, and building daily self-care into his routine. Simon's transformation isn't just skin deep, it's a powerful message, especially for older Americans. In a world obsessed with staying young, he's learning to age with grace and intention. No longer chasing perfection, he's choosing wellness over image, authenticity over illusion. His journey is a timely reminder. It's never too late to hit reset, and sometimes the most beautiful glow comes from within. Cardi B has never been one to hold back. The Grammy-winning rapper, known for her raw honesty and larger-than-life personality, recently opened up about something far more personal than her music or fashion, her health. In a deeply emotional Instagram live, Cardi revealed she had undergone surgery to remove dangerous buttock implants, biopolymer injections she had gotten years ago for just $800 in someone's basement. At the time, she was a young stripper trying to fit into a body standard that felt like survival. But the cost? Far higher than she ever imagined. These injections, made up of 95% synthetic material, posed serious risks to her health. The removal process, she admitted, was painful both physically and emotionally. And she didn't sugarcoat it, telling her fans in no uncertain terms, "Never, ever get this done." Even more chilling? The same underground injector was later tied to the tragic death of another woman who received similar injections. Cardi's story could have ended the same way, but she's using her platform to make sure others don't repeat her mistakes. Now, make no mistake, Cardi B isn't anti-plastic surgery. She's been open about getting a nose job, explaining she simply didn't like the way it looked, reminding her too much of her father's. Her message isn't about shame, it's about safety. If you're going to make changes to your body, make sure they're done right, with real doctors, proper research, and no shortcuts. In a world obsessed with filters and flawless looks, Cardi B is a rare voice of truth. Her cautionary tale is more than a celebrity confession, it's a wake-up call. Confidence is beautiful, but your health should always come first. Pete Burns, the electrifying voice behind the 1980s smash, "You Spin Me Round," with the British band Dead or Alive, wasn't just a pop icon. He became a symbol of radical reinvention, pushing the boundaries of beauty, identity, and self-expression. For countless baby boomers who once danced to his records under disco balls or rewound his hits on cassette tapes, his later life appearances were as shocking as they were heartbreaking. It all began innocently enough, with a simple nose surgery to fix an injury. But what started as a routine procedure quickly spiraled into an all-consuming obsession. Burns underwent countless surgeries, not for vanity alone, but often to correct complications, infections, and missteps from previous procedures. His face became a canvas of pain, resilience, and relentless transformation. Despite repeated warnings from doctors and the physical agony that followed, Pete refused to stop. For him, each surgery wasn't just cosmetic. It was a statement, a rebellion, a form of art. He spoke openly about the emotional and financial cost of his choices, revealing that he had spent nearly his entire fortune chasing an image he believed reflected his truest self. Pete Burns passed away in 2016 from natural causes, but his legacy lingers. In today's world, where cosmetic enhancements are just a click away, his life remains a haunting reminder of the razor-thin line between self-empowerment and self-destruction. His story challenges us to ask, at what point does transformation stop being an expression of freedom and start becoming a prison of our own making? Hangoka's story is one of heartbreak, obsession, and a haunting reminder of how the pursuit of beauty can spiral into tragedy. Once a rising star in South Korea, a successful model and singer, Hang began her journey with plastic surgery at 28, chasing the dream of smoother, more youthful skin. Her initial procedures seemed harmless, even empowering. But what began as a desire for minor enhancements soon became an all-consuming obsession. Determined to achieve perfection, she traveled to Japan for more surgeries, undergoing multiple procedures in rapid succession. Eventually, even the doctors grew alarmed by her growing addiction and refused to operate on her further. But Hang wouldn't stop. She returned to South Korea, her face so drastically altered that even her own parents could barely recognize her. She briefly sought psychiatric treatment, but abandoned therapy and began a desperate search for a doctor who would keep altering her appearance. Tragically, she found one. Not only did this doctor inject silicone into her face, but he also gave her syringes and silicone to self-administer at home. When she ran out of medical-grade material, Hang turned to something unthinkable, injecting cooking oil into her own skin. The result was catastrophic: severe swelling, deep scarring, and permanent disfigurement. Her story eventually gained public attention, and an outpouring of donations funded 10 reconstructive surgeries to reduce the swelling. While the procedures helped, they could never fully undo the damage. Now in her 60s, Hang lives a quiet life, working in a second-hand clothing shop and receiving government assistance. And still, after everything, she holds onto a fragile hope that one day she might recover the face she once had. Hangoka's journey is not just a tragedy, it's a powerful cautionary tale about the dark side of beauty culture, the grip of addiction, and the emotional toll of chasing an unattainable ideal. Heidi Montag, the blonde beauty who rose to fame on Laguna Beach and the hills, became one of the most talked-about reality stars of the early 2000s. But behind the glitz, the paparazzi, and the perfectly posed red carpet shots lies a painful truth, one of regret, transformation, and hard-earned self-awareness. At just 23, Heidi made a decision that would forever change not only her body but her sense of self. What started as an irresistible, free makeover spiraled into a dangerous journey. Tempted by the promise of tens of thousands of dollars worth of complimentary cosmetic work, she agreed to undergo 10 surgeries in one single day, yes, 10, including a brow lift, chin reduction, and multiple Botox injections. The procedures took over 16 hours. The recovery? Brutal. Heidi was left physically battered, emotionally wrecked, and hooked on opioid painkillers that drained her spirit. Today, in her 30s, Heidi looks back with open eyes and a wiser heart. She admits she never needed those surgeries. Not really. What she truly needed was self-acceptance. She now speaks candidly about the pressure to look perfect, warning others, especially young women, not to let insecurity lead them under the knife before confronting the emotional roots beneath it all. Heidi doesn't condemn plastic surgery outright, but she urges people to make these choices carefully, with support from mental health professionals and loved ones who truly care. Because behind every flawless after photo, there's often a hidden story of pain, fear, and self-doubt. Her story is more than a cautionary tale. It's a reminder that real beauty isn't about symmetry or filters. It's about self-worth, emotional healing, and making choices that come from love, not pressure. Thanks for watching Exposed Hollywood. If this story moved you, be sure to like, share, and subscribe, because the truth behind the spotlight is always worth revealing. See you in the next one.